Good morning and welcome back to Shirai Show. Today is October 3rd and the time is approximately 3:32 a.m. in the morning. I'm unable to sleep, but I want to get down to the heart of the matter. The next few days I will be giving you significant details regarding my life journey and the significance behind what happened between me and my son's identity. And it is very unnerving, unsettling. It is malicious intentions. It is diabolical. However, I try to remain positive and keep perspective on the circumstances. It is quite unbelievable, the true intentions of the heart of men. For what I understand, but I have not yet seen the evidence that I was illegally surveilled. In other words, I never given anyone authorization to make a public documentary of my life, or they have contorted my life into economic hardship. I never gave them any information. I never signed any documentation. By trade, I was an accountant, and I would have never given anyone authorization for exploitation, for illegal exploitation. So I'm going to read a few verses. And this one's from Paul. Paul says that godliness with contentment is great gain. And that is in 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 6. When we surrender to God the cumbersome sack of discontent, we don't just give up something, we gain something. God replaces it with lightweight, tailor-made, sorry resistance, a touch of gratitude. What would you gain from your contentment? You may gain your marriage. You may gain your precious hours with your children. You may gain your self-respect. You may gain your joy. And you may gain your faith to say, the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. That is from Psalm 23. Contentment. Apparently, the ideologies of these advocacies or groups felt that there were discontent. They weren't content with what they had already. So they had to go and step over boundaries illegally in order to take what someone else had and redistribute it. See, they weren't content to who they are. So they had to basically steal someone else's identity in order to become content. But they didn't realize, or they failed to realize, there were economic hardship behind the original person's identity. From what I understand and from my research and hearsay, individuals have told me that when someone is targeted like this for their identity to the extreme, they never live. I believe I'm the longest living survivor. Everyone else who they targeted for their identity never lived because the original person's identity become part of the pool, and everyone, the clones, not a hybrid, but the clones basically draw from the original person's identity that's now deceased. I was told there were 5 individuals that were targeted like this. Me and my son was amongst the 5. And this is about contentment. Apparently, there were groups or advocacies that weren't content with the current circumstances and tried to bridge the gap between minorities and whites. And what they did was created a butterfly effect. Now, the butterfly effect is based on a domino effect. Not a good example of it, but that's what it's supposed to be. In other words, from the original intent what they did basically, well, you have the original person's identity, which is me and my son. And from that original identity, ah, they created all these derivatives, negative and extremely positive. There were all these negative more so than positive, deriving from the original intent for the identity theft to be created into a pool, and everyone draws from it. And those who draw from it also contribute degrees to it, and everyone draws from that degree. This is what I had done in my research. This is what I have found, and I found that they, their true intentions were basically to morally bankrupt us. In other words, you may be of Christian faith, but they're going to make you sinful. And from all these derivatives and psychological harassment, people fall into the trap of their malicious intent. So this is quite a complicated circumstances. People have died, and the number they claim is 5, but I believe it's more, much, much, much more than 5 people who were targeted for their identity. And so not only that, but we're creating a national security threat with my identity, my son's identities, and others. And this is the problem that I have been faced with. I did find some evidence. I found that I was charged for 1988 for something I didn't do because I was pregnant at the time. I wasn't even in the area, but it showed up on my credit report last year. Now this is dated 1988. The statute of limitations should have ran out, but it showed up on my credit report, and the criminal intention of a traffic stop never happened because I wasn't even there. So the question comes into the fact, who fingerprints is it and who picture is it? Because it isn't mine. So we're talking about obstruction of justice as well, because people are using the identity as well in this pool to do criminal activity and use it to get out of the jail free card. This is Shirai, and I will be continuing recording my next session. This is part 1.